All right, this is number 5 in the 10-part series of the top 10 things I wish I would have known before I got into goats, or the top 10 things I should have known before I got into goats. So this is number 5. And number 5 is the whole birthing, kidding, reproduction. And it is part of the mastery course. And this is where people really don't know that are new. And I just want to remind you, if you're new and you're watching this, remember that top homesteaders in the country voted goats the second most difficult to raise. And it's not because they're hard. It's because there's no good resources. And to try to go onto Facebook and ask questions there and get belittled for your beginning questions and get a billion different answers is like the worst place. So there are things like PackGoats.com, my company. We're here to teach you how to raise goats. Everything from cradle to grave, birthing, packing, milking, babies, all that stuff. It's all available on PackGoats.com, and none of it's expensive. Everything's less than $100. So remember that there are resources that'll help you to do this, and goats are wonderful. They're wonderful, but there is a learning curve, and you do need to learn how to raise them. So we're going to go into birthing so that you know that. Now, there are also people, thousands, who watch this channel who know this information as well. Give us your helpful hints. Tell us what you do on your ranch. Tell us what your favorite aspect is, and tell us how your experience is once you learn, so that these people that are watching this have hope that, you know, really after you get through your first year, you know what's going on, especially if you have help from my courses and goat club stuff. I mean, it'll go fast. It'll take you 1 year to learn what it took me 10 of the hard part of it. So we're going to talk about birthing and reproduction. Now, the one thing that I would tell you is normally, oh, honey, let's let the cat have kittens, or let's have puppies. That is a completely different equation with a goat, because goats have specialized needs with kidding and with pre-nutrition, prenatal nutrition, post-nutrition, post-care. A lot of times they need assistance in birth. You know, goats do a great job on their own for the most part, but when it goes wrong, it goes super wrong, and mom and babies die, and it can be really tragic. So this is the most important one that I tell people, is that and I don't care if you cannot afford my birthing course, I'll give it to you free. I see more hearts broken over this subject than almost any other subject with goats, because it could be so beautiful and it ends so tragic. And you are not going to have a vet show up at 2 o'clock in the morning at your house to help you. You are on your own. You need to know what to do. So I have an entire course on birthing that you should watch if you're going down this road. But I will tell you, don't go into getting your goat pregnant and getting into milk lightly. You need to know what you're doing. So this is an example of our kidding stalls. This is where we let our goats have the babies. We actually have a little child monitor camera that we can listen to in the house, and we can move it, and it has audio. So we can actually, luckily with the goat, they're very loud giving birth almost all the time. So I can turn the video off, but if I hear any noise, then I can check on the doe and look at them with the camera during the night. And we're very vigilant. We know that their gestation period for our big goats, we have 155 days is what we base ours on. Smaller goats, 150. We know the day they're bred, we know the day they're due, and we're on watch when they're due. So we're there to help in case anybody has a problem. So we have a birthing kit, we have towels, we have scissors, we have iodine, we have a way to pull kids if we need to. We have a soap scrub so I can scrub up and basically go in and pull babies out. I mean, we're ready. We also have this pen that we call our breeding pen. And this is where we go in and we introduce the bucks to the does, and then we can actually witness the breeding. We know it happened, and now we got a due date. And that's very important to know when you're having it. The other big concern with having babies is learning that goats need a special diet while they're growing those babies, especially at the end, because there's this thing called pregnancy toxemia, and they can also go into ketosis, and you have to feed them properly 30 days before they kid, and they need the right pre-birth or pre-breeding nutrition and worming, and then we really need to take care of them after they have their baby because they get kind of knocked down. So knowing what to do in all those segments of taking care of the doe, then once the doe has babies, now you got 2 little babies that can be pretty complex to take care of, and you have an udder that's making milk. Now, if you dam raise, which means raised by the mother, the risk with dam raising is that if you're not super involved with those babies, then they will be really wild. If you just let a dam raise their own babies and you aren't interacting with those babies every day, those babies will be wild. There's 3 different ways to raise babies. If you want the gentlest, most handleable babies, you bottle feed. So you let them stay on the mother for 1 to 3 days, you pull them away from the mother, and then you bottle feed them the rest of their 3 months that you feed them. You feed them 3 times a day the first month, 2 times a day the second month, and 1 time a day the third month. And it's a really good bonding experience, and the mother gets over it in about 24 hours. She kind of stops looking for her kids. But for a new goat owner, that's like a kind of a heart-wrenching thing, and I get it. I totally do. But we like to raise really handleable goats, and pack goats at that. So the bonding is so critical, we just don't do it any other way. You should know there is also a hybridized model where they can nurse on the dam. You can take them away from her for the evening and then feed them in the evening or feed them first thing in the morning. So you can actually get them on the bottle in the very beginning, and then they'll take a bottle from you, and it's kind of best of both worlds. So that's a good way to go. If you're going to try to do that, you need to introduce the bottle literally from birth and have them know how to suck on that nipple as well, because it's different than their mom's teat. So really important, and you may have to take them away a little bit to get hungry to then take it, but that is a good model that a lot of people do as well. As far as baby care and udder care, now you also have to remember you have to dry out that doe. Now if you're dam raising, she'll slowly dry herself out, but one of the greatest reasons you should have babies, and by the way, babies aren't easy to sell. So if you think you're just going to sell babies easily, they are easy to sell for meat, but they're hard to sell for like milk and pets. That's a hard thing to get any money out of it, and or to actually find a good person who's going to take care of that goat, especially when they're trying to pay a minimum price for it. So the baby thing is you got to have a plan for a baby. Goats have 2.4 babies per doe per kidding season. You can triple your herd in 2 years. So you got to remember, you know, you can get stacked up with these little guys, and so you want to consider that. The main reason to have babies, in my opinion, unless you have a real viable farm for it in meat goats or you're trying to grow your herd, is for milk. And milking has another whole learning curve to it. It does. The udder can be sometimes a little complex to take care of. Learning how to properly milk and take care of the doe while she's milking. Learning how to take care of your milk while you're milking. Those sorts of things. But again, I would say it's a super beautiful part of raising goats, and I highly recommend it. But once you start to get into breeding, birthing, and milk, you are at the graduate level. That's a PhD level raising goats scenario. So I suggest often that people hold off on that piece for their first year, get to know kind of what raising goats are, and then the next year to go into kidding and milking and birthing. So I'm Marc Warnke. I wanted to give you some kind of helpful hints and some knowledge about what you're getting into with that, and some generalized information, but you can see there's a lot to it. Our birthing course, I believe, has 12 chapters, and if you watch all the videos, I believe it's about probably 6 hours of video, and it's in different scenarios. You get to see live births, you get to see all that. The milking course, we show you all the details with that, including how to build a parlor and how to set yourself up and how to use a milking machine and how to hand milk. And then of course, taking care of babies. We have a whole course on how to raise baby goats. So if you'd be so kind to share this with other people who you think might find it valuable, and if you would be so kind to leave us a comment, tell us what you think. And if you have helpful hints for people who might be watching this video, please feel free and put those in the comments. So my name is Marc Warnke. I'm so grateful you took the time to watch this. I look forward to someday helping you directly. Take care.